good afternoon from the UK and good morning from the US. We are back again. I'm so excited. Do you know what, BT? I think literally at least 80% of my followers are like, yay, BT's back, yay. I think you are probably their favourite. So it's good to have you back, my friend.
Well, thank you so much. It's good to be back on this series of the Cosmic Oracle. You know, we're really enjoying it. It's an opportunity to shed light in a different format, and I think, you know, the world is searching for that different format. And so people like you, Lucy, and I, and others that are outside of the realm of the normal box are actually really doing some strong spiritual, you know, work here, as well as in the 3D, 4D. And so I'm just grateful that everybody out there, first of all, is listening, you know, because I mean, they could very well turn us off, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know, I'm grateful for that. And I'm also grateful for the comments and the responses. I had one gentleman who said he's going to send me a stone from Manchester, you know, so I was excited, you know, about that and things of that nature, because again, you know, we do our prayers, you know, every day, and our medicine wheel is up 24/7 all year long. It never comes down. And it doesn't matter what location we've been at. And so right now it's actually on a sacred line of geometry, one would say. And it's really nice to have it right there. The energies are incredible. And it's just beautiful to be able to work with you and to shed light on things.
Same, absolute same. In fact, you just saying the word sacred geometry, I must send you the logo that we've had designed for Little Beams. So Little Beams is the healing centres. So it's basically going to be the platform that we use to create the healing centres and rehabilitation for humanity generally. And basically, I had this vision of the logo that I wanted it to look, but I'm not the most creative person to put it into practice. So I reached out to some absolutely incredible violet flames around the world. And one of them, oh my gosh, she designed the most beautiful sacred geometry specifically for this mission. And we've turned it into the logo. So I must send it to you because it is just absolutely, I feel it and my womb starts to like, vibrate. It's so like the activations in it are so incredible. So I must send that over to you. Just a little tangent there, but I love it. So I'd be really interested to see how you feel when you look at it. Remind me after this and I'll send it over to you. So today we're talking about Vietnam. I'm going to share a really quick story before I hand the floor over to you. Vietnam is massive in my world, like massive. I was called to Vietnam in 2018. I was called earlier on in my life, but I ignored it. I was a bit fearful. You know, you hear these things about places and you're like, oh, don't go there, you won't be safe. And I think that that's what had happened. But in 2018, I was going on this trip and I was like, I must take in Vietnam. I have to go there. Anyway, a lot of people will remember I went on a huge journey. Whenever I intuitively travel, I go on huge journeys. But in Vietnam, I kept channeling this monk, like constantly. I was channeling this monk. And I kept like saying to people on my Facebook, like, who the hell is this monk? I keep channeling this monk. I don't know who he is, but I need to find him. And a few months after I'd left, my girlfriend sent me like a meme. And there was a monk on it and it was a quote and it was the monk that I'd been channeling. And I was like, oh my God. And it had his name on it, thankfully. So the next year, literally a year to the date from when I was first there, I found myself back there. And I found myself going on this magical mystery tour. Literally my suitcase didn't arrive. Like, honestly, it was hilarious. But when I got to the place where I was staying, I was like, now, why wouldn't my suitcase arrive? This is just weird. I travel the world all the time. I've only ever lost my bag twice in my life. Why would I lose it this time? And I was like, it's all going to make sense. Anyway, I went out on my bike one day, even though they told me it was too hot for me to ride a bike. I was like, I'm going out on a bike. And I literally just went and got lost in like the rice fields and everything like that of Vietnam. And I ended up stumbling across the most beautiful it was, and there was some work going on there, but I was like, I need to be here, like I just need to be here. So I was wandering through this temple. Anyway, I go to the place where they're doing the building work and I give Gaia some love because I'm like, oh, you know, they're moving things and I just feel like I need to give her some healing. Anyway, I'm stood there doing this, like saying this prayer for the earth, and I got this, he's behind you. Literally, he's behind you. And I'm like, oh, he's behind me. I turned around and it was the monk. No word of a lie. The monk was behind me in a wheelchair because he'd had a stroke a few years earlier. And basically, one of the people that carried him down said to me in English, amazing English, he saw your yellow t-shirt from his house and wanted to come and speak with you. And that's when I actually spent a week with Thich Nhat Hanh in Vietnam. So for me, Vietnam blows me away. And of course, you don't need a suitcase when you're in a monastery.
Right. There you go. There's that week of already predestined energies already.
Exactly. Huh? Exactly. I had to share that story because Vietnam, as soon as I hear that word, I'm like, oh, it takes my breath away. It's so freaking amazing. So I'm going to literally be quiet and take notes.
All right. Well, feel free to interject at any time, like always. Okay. And Vietnam was a really very interesting chart for our oracle. She thought it was probably one of the most unique charts when she looks at charts, because Vietnam has what they refer to as a bucket chart. Okay, those of you who know astrology, and again, I'm not an astrology person. I'm putting that disclaimer. I'm just going by what other people that I'm working with say, and then I go into prayer and I do my thought and see how I can get the downloads. And Carla and I and the oracle, and we all just kind of communicate. So again, this is not just one person's thought process. I just want to make that known as a disclaimer. And again, I'm not an astrology person.
Covering your ass, right?
We believe in astrology, though. I mean, I recognize the power of the stars and the planets in alignment. And even if you think you're a flat earther, whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying. But we still have things above us. That's all I'm going to say. Not to cross the line for anybody. Okay. So anyhow. Vietnam has, on the ascendant side, it's governed by Pisces and it's mutable. It's at 5 degrees. The chart ruler is Jupiter in Libra, Neptune in Libra. Okay, so with that energy spoken, what it does is it brings in a balance within the people of Vietnam, okay? And it's a balance that brings great pleasure to the people of Vietnam, those who are on this spiritual understanding of where they are on a cultural aspect, okay? Not so much on a world aspect, but on an individual cultural aspect. And so that's very important to recognize as we look at the possibilities of the Vietnam Dong being reevaluated, okay? And so people of Vietnam have they have an impractical idealism, okay? And when I say impractical, I mean it in the aspect of most everybody that I've ever been in contact with that has been from Vietnam, and it doesn't matter if it's my gal that does my big size 16 feet pedicures or other areas of life, cooking, things of this nature, just friendship. I've had a lot of friends over the years from Vietnam, and the one thing that I've always noticed about the Vietnam people is they're constantly willing to please others. I really have never met anybody from Vietnam that it was, hey, it's not about helping you. It's all about me. I'm not saying that there's not people like that. I'm just saying the majority of people that I have had personal experiences with are in that way. And so think about that as this reevaluation is taking place, because again, Vietnam has always been looking away from their country in that aspect, if you take it from that standpoint on a global financial, okay? They want to please everybody. Yeah. They want to be able to, fall in line with other countries and be looked at a different stature, excuse me. And been doing a lot of law work lately. Yes.
And so we'll have to do a video on that at some point because it's bloody interesting, everyone. It's bloody interesting.
So anyhow, okay. And then at the same time, Jupiter, Neptune, and Chiron are in conjunction with Libra. Okay, so one of the main areas there is the religious aspect and how they emphasize on their religion, their belief system. Okay, that's something that guides people from Vietnam. Those people, like I said, who are in that spiritual aspect. They want to be in total balance with karmic energies. Okay, people from Vietnam, they understand what comes around goes around. Okay, and again, that's something that on a personal level, those of you who are out there, recognize the same way, within those feelings and emotions. And so another area too is that they express their energy to be fun. If you've ever known anybody from Vietnam, they're always bouncy and happy and, go get 'em type attitude. And, I very seldom ever see one all mopey and walk around like, you know what I'm saying? Okay.
What I loved about Vietnam when I was there on this, the I don't know if it was the first trip or the second trip, but they were all out dancing in the morning, like by the lake. It was just unbelievable, like very, very early in the morning, because I would go running and they'd all be out there dancing. There would be hordes of them. It was beautiful. So you're right. They do just love the lighter side, the good vibe side.
And it's really important because again, they, a lot of the energies here within the stars creates a utopia of belief within the people of Vietnam for a vision of the world. Okay. And so when you think about that, and then you think about the reevaluation, what's their part within that energy of having that utopia vision? Again, they're most of the time, they're pretty well self-reliant. They have their own food sources, they have their own communities, they all work together, things of this nature. It's very similar to other cultures, but at the same time, there's not as much, I got to be better than you energies. They're not working as high of an energy of the ego that other countries do. Okay. And so I think that's really important. And so when we look at it as it moves on into the sun, again, Virgo's in control of the sun. It's 9 degrees. It's trining the south node. It's a reoccurring theme. And so their energies there are very intelligent. They're quick. They're savvy. They have a major theme within their identities. Each person, they can see a future if they decide to go after it and go for it. And again, that's everybody's choice. Some people don't want the hard life, because again, when you go after something, it isn't always going to come easy. And so that's why I refer to it as the hard life.
Yeah, quite the contrary as well, isn't it? If you go after it, it tends to be resistant until you've gone through the lessons that you need to be able to hold the gold that they're about to give you. That's my philosophy on it anyway.
Yeah, and that's 100% right on the head of the bucket, so to speak. And at the same time, there's a mutual reception within the sign ruler, Virgo, Mercury, and Leo. And so that mutual reception is an energy that it is like they feel the energies from other individuals. They feel the energies of how things are going to move forward in progression within this transition of currency and reevaluation and stability within their country. And then we come into the moon area of it, and Cancer is the strong lunar energy. Moon is a ruling sign. It conjuncts Saturn at 21 degrees. It's very guarded. Okay, so think about that as well. Vietnam, very guarded. Again, Vietnam's one of the most beautiful countries. I haven't been there yet, but from everything that my friends tell me and what I've seen, it's a beautiful country. And it's something that the country itself wants to maintain within the people. They don't want to see a bunch of overgrowth that will disrupt their country to a point where they don't have the beauty that it always has had. Okay, and so that's something that is going to play a big theme in this currency reval, because again, when money is involved, growth is there. Okay, that's inevitable, and that's something that is going to be not necessarily difficult for the Vietnamese people, but it's going to be something that is going to be very, very guarded, so to speak. Okay, now at the same time, a lot of these individuals that live in Vietnam, are not only a perfectionist, okay? I mean, if you go get your nails done by a Vietnamese, they're going to be a lot more perfection than some of the other people I've gone to. Just saying, okay? Just saying. You know, I got these size 16 feet. I know what it feels like when somebody just comes
wow.
and somebody who really does their job. And I tell you, I've always had the best foot, you know, pedicure with a Vietnamese person. So
BT, just for the record, how tall are you?
I'm 6'6".
6'6".
Yeah. I used to see, I had these size 16 feet when I was 5'2" and 260 when I was short and fat and little. I've had it since the grade. So, I mean, you know, you know, it was amazing. I always knew I'd grow into my feet, but I just didn't know when. Okay. So, anyhow, that's another story in itself. There's also an area there that they're very sensitive, and they don't necessarily always speak their peace of mind. Okay. And so they hold things in. And remember this, you know, when you hold things in, it's not a benefit within the spiritual plane, because spirit wants you to be honest. Okay. Even if it's painful for somebody to hear, I want you to recognize that. Doesn't mean you come out and be an asshole. No. You know, you pick your words, you choose your words properly, and you bring it to them in the most correct manner that you can without freaking, you know, taking a knife and stabbing them. Because the tongue is very powerful. It's stronger than your muscles. Understand that. I mean, when we communicate, we can create not just physical, but we create mental as well. Okay, abuse from those energies. So know that about these individuals there in Vietnam. So they're going to be moving into this energy. They're going to be having difficulty in some areas of expressing outwardly. It's going to be a new area for them to prioritize their own structure within their own communities, because everything's going to shift. Okay, everything's going to be shifting when this takes place. Now, one of the main areas there is they want to be able to identify their own establishment as in the aspect of independencies to, you know, within themselves. You know, they don't want to have to rely on everybody else, things of this nature, because they've always been that way. They're very self-reliant. And at this time, the moon is the closest to the earth and Saturn is the furthest from the earth. And so there's a development of true consciousness, a self-identity that was limited at one time. And so all this stuff's going to be coming back. Now, in the bucket chart itself, all the energies are funneled on healing karmic lessons and wounds.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so we're going to touch base on this, okay? Because again, in my personal experience, and I say this because it is personal experience. I had two brothers that went to Vietnam. My oldest brother, he was 6'8" and handsome man. He could stop traffic in the middle of the road. I mean, I literally. And when he was in Vietnam, he did a, you know, he was quite up in the different areas of military and training and things of this nature. When he came back, he had Agent Orange, and he died of cancer a little bit later, and he was buried here in St. Petersburg here in Florida at the memorial there for the military. And so my other brother, he was in the longest battle in Vietnam. And he literally, I kid you not, had to bury himself in bodies of both sides of this war, from American people to Vietnamese people, and literally had to hide in a mountain during this time of takeovers, because again, the United States would be on top, the Vietnamese would be on top, and there was this battle, and it was like this one central located area, and it was the longest and hardest battle ever fought in Vietnam, and there was very few people that survived this. And so it really messed with his head. And when he came back from Vietnam, he couldn't sleep. He had to actually sleep at the cemetery. Think of that. Because that was the only way he could actually feel peace, because that's where his energy was left at when he came back from Vietnam. So that's people who are outside of the Vietnamese culture, okay, that were, you know, affected. So let's look at the Vietnamese themselves and how they were affected. It couldn't be no different, you know, in my personal opinion. You know, the Agent Orange created cancer. There's you know, many families there that I'm sure suffered within that PTSD and traumatic areas, you know, and so those are something that are very, very difficult for any culture to overcome. And so when we look at this energy of the bucket and the karmic wounds and lessons, okay, and again, in my personal opinion, you know, the reason why Vietnam was in their position at that time is because they were moving out of the central banking system as well. And so think of that, you know, the globalists, the elite, people who don't want to see this revow take place, you know, within our understanding. They want to keep it in their realm and not in the people's realm. And so that's something that's going to be a really big wound that will be healed through this financial ability to move forward without a distress signal financially. Now, there's two chart rulers which are sandwiching Chiron, and their repeated theme is healing. Okay, so again, this is something that's not just going to be, you know, occurring on a regular basis. It's the theme. So the whole theme of the reset of Vietnam is a reoccurring of healing their wounds throughout all the time. Okay, I mean, that's powerful when you think about it.
And what's interesting, BT, is that I think you said in the last video that Vietnam's going to come last.
I believe it will be. I believe it will be. Yeah, I think you know, Vietnam and some of the, you know, African dollars, so to speak, you know, will be the last ones because the economic situation of their side first. There's going to have to be some things, and I'll get into that, why I think that a little bit further down. But there's an area there of a spiritual passion within the Vietnamese people, within this karmic healing, to actually move into that 3D realm and accept it. Okay. That's the hardest part within healing any individual or any country, is the acceptance of the role you played, especially when it was in a role that you might feel was a shitty side of the coin. Okay, the negative side. One could look at it that way. And so when we look at it from the aspect of religious, you got Dao, Buddhism, Confucian, you know, you got all these different beliefs that are synergistically some way connected in one way, shape, or form. And so when we look at areas there within this healing, okay, Vietnam has a lot of oil on the exterior part of their land mass there in the ocean, okay? It's one of the largest, from what I understand, as far as oil reserves in the world, which is kind of interesting when you think about it, because again, the petrodollar, think of that, huh? If they would have opened up their oil reserves during the 60s, okay, prior to the Vietnam War, that would have put them in a whole other avenue. The United States couldn't have that. Okay, other countries couldn't have that.
Yeah.
Okay, and so, you know, they had the opportunity to do that. And so presently, on a fast forward, and I'll get back to this here shortly, but presently, like China builds islands off the side, outside of Vietnam in the waters. China has been building these islands. Wow. Now the question is China building the islands for a military position, or are they building them so they can have access to this oil without anybody knowing? Put it out there. Just put it out there, okay? Because this is all part of healing the karmic energies. Okay, we can't heal something if we don't bring it up and talk about it, right?
No, for sure.
You have to be able to do it. So that's another area of repeating the theme within those energies of truth. Okay. Now, also within that bucket, the chart rulers in the South Node are in the house that emphasize healing of the people. And we're not just talking, you know, a few people. We're talking groups and relationships and all this kind of stuff. And so that's something that is going to be taking place as everything moves forward. Now, there's a strong area of Vietnam within the energy of the stars that wants it to have the change. Okay. And again, everybody out there, understand change is not change unless you change. Okay. It's very simple. Okay. You can say you want to do it, but you don't do anything. You're just talking crap. I mean, just seriously. Okay. And I love you guys, but you're just full of shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, and and I understand. I mean, people do that because again, they do not want to be responsible. Okay. Always have to take responsibility sooner or later for our karmic energies. Love it, like it, leave it, whatever it may be. But we all have to do that. And so Vietnam is a very crucial player in healing the planet, just so you know. Okay. Now, as we move on, the karmic material, okay, that is used, okay, because I want you to understand karmic energy is actually like a material. Okay. It's an energy force. I ain't saying it's always in the strongest energy because again it takes synergistically movement to be created by individuals, especially in a country that's going to go through a healing. So you just can't have a few people going, yeah, we want to heal. You know, the whole country has to come together, just like the United States. Okay. Just like the UK, just like, you know, Iraq, you know, all these countries that are so vital to this transition have to heal within themselves. And the biggest purpose of the healing, okay, is to create a force of energy, not just on a, you know, earthly manner, but on a cosmic level. Yeah. Okay. We all return to source. We all return to the highest form of love and compassion and sincerity and truth and all this. Okay. And I can go on and on and on. But the simplicity of it is we are of love. And unless we return that to every country within their own identity, then it's going to be a difficult process for each country to maintain their financial strength. Okay. So as we look at that area, the new relationships that Vietnam is going to be moving into with the world, they're going to be a little bit fussy. Okay. They're not just going to let every Tom, Dick, and Harry come into their country to do whatever they choose to do. They're going to be very, very specific, I believe. You know, according to the stars, they're going to be, you know, I won't say they're going to be asinine, but they could be. Because again, you know, you're starting a whole new scenario that's never been done ever in the history of mankind. And so when we look at it from that standpoint, we have to be able to pursue and transform, but at the same time, we have to make sure we don't readdress the situations of the past and bring them forth. Okay. You know, once we heal, we have to let it go. You know, we can't just continue going, oh, you know, well, you know, back in the day, you know, this and that. We can't do that. We need to step out of that past history, not to forget it, but not to whine about it. Yeah, and that's something that anymore, you know. Yeah. And that's something Vietnam's going to have to work with, and they're going to have some struggles with that because again, they've been stepped on for so many years, just like other countries. Now, at the same time of this transformation, there's Pluto. Pluto is a karmic area of ability and be able to assist with the completion of this transition. And so at the same time, there's going to be some Scorpio energies involved. And when Scorpio and Pluto come together, there's like a firestorm, just so you know. There's like a burst of flame. So it's not always in the highest. It's kind of like, let's burn it to the dust type attitude. You know, we're going to take it all the way through and we're going to just let it, you know, let the ambers fall when they may fall. Okay. And so that's kind of the energies too that are all synergistically moving into this area of Vietnam. And Pluto is provoking. Okay. Pluto is provoking this energy. You know, they want to see a blind spot. You know, they want to see an area where they could maybe, you know, cause a little havoc and throw a little bump in the road for Vietnam too, because again, you know, China doesn't want to see Vietnam in a better position. Okay. You know, and that's just kind of the reality of it. Okay. I'm not saying China's always in the bad seed, okay? I just, but that's just the energy that,
No, but there's a lot of countries out there that would not want to see some of these countries step up into their own power. South Africa, Zimbabwe, Vietnam's another great one. Like there are a number of countries that the world, as it stands today, like to be able to control. Let's call it what it is, because of their resources, because of what they've got available. It's not in the big boys' interest to empower the the countries that we're talking about. So I get it completely, and it's a really exciting time.
It is, because in life, okay, competition is good. Just so you know, in life, competition is good, because what it does, it separates those individuals who are doing the right thing from those individuals who are doing the wrong thing. Okay, just like the state of Florida, for example, we're doing the right thing. So we got like 1,000 people moving in here every day. I kid you not.
Yeah. Well, I would move there if I could. Somebody said something the other day, and I was like, I'm moving to Florida. Literally, I'm getting on a plane. I don't know if it's going to leave, but I'm going. Genuinely, if I could come to Florida right now, I would.
Well, I know, but you'd have a place to be at too. We'd be just, you and I, Carla, and the rest of us, we'd be just tearing it up over here. They might want to have to quarantine the state from us because we're having so much fun.
Honestly, I would. Honestly, I haven't looked, to be fair, so I should check if flights are going. But I'd get on a plane tomorrow if I could.
Oh, I know. And so within this area of the bucket, okay, there's still a stagnant energy within this area there. And the energy is an energy that it's unable to express how they want to move forward. Because again, it takes time to understand this. And if all of a sudden they get hit with something out of the blue that, some of them are aware of, but most of them, for the most part, are unaware of, just like here in the United States and in the UK and other countries, they have no idea about a reset. They've heard the term, but they have no idea. And so this is something that's going to be, a new area for them. The other area that's going to be a little bit difficult is, Vietnam people are, I think, for the most part, more on a feminine side of energy, on a more spiritual feminine side of energy. And this feminine energy has been repressed. Okay. Okay. And so this is energy that was not always in the energies that would move anybody out of it. And so it's just been kind of, even though they're happy and they do their stuff, they still feel that, what can I do to be, help the community more? What can I do to help my family more? What can I do? And again, that's something that I think happens when, you yourself are overtaken in your own situation of financial things, that maybe you made some smart moves and again made some bad mistakes, but again, that's how we learn. Okay, so there's not a right or a wrong, it's just the way we learn. And so as we move forward into the transits, May 26th of 2021, there's a lunar eclipse. Sagittarius is in full moon. It's squaring ascendant and descendant. And it's a area of time that moves forward towards June 10th, which is like creating a free state. There's new ideas, exciting times, things that are moving in a positive way. Implementing. Yeah, that's June 10th. And remember, I'm shooting around June, for June to December. Remember that, and all the other ones we've talked about. Yeah. Okay, so it's interesting that this has the same play, okay, as the other two that we've already discussed.
Yeah.
So they're going to be implementing a new idea and values. A new idea. What's a new idea? Hey, you know what? Your money's worth something now. Hey, that to me is a huge idea. You know what? I mean, it's dollar for dollar around the globe, what, or whatever the case may be.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
You know, and it's valued.
Yeah.
Think of that. Okay. And so that's something that I thought was really interesting around June.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And then as we move, and again, we're going to be jumping pretty far because again, I think it's going to be down the road. So I'm not going to touch base on everything here in the present. I'm going to be touching base where I think things are going to actually hit for Vietnam.
Yeah, cool. Perfect.
And so December 4th of 2021, there's another solar eclipse, new moon at 12 degrees of Sagittarius. It conjuncts with the moon, sun, and Mercury. There's an opposing area of Uranus. And Uranus is trying to balance and implement that new idea that came out from the Gemini moon. Okay. So again, June 10th to December 4th. Now it falls in line within a couple of weeks of everything else that we've talked about in that December month. Okay. So that's something to think about because it's going to have a strong connection to the world as the world changes. Okay.
Amazing.
Now, when we look at it from an aspect of areas, there's probably the possibility of change in leadership in Vietnam as well.
Ooh.
Okay. And so the natal Pluto is at 10 degrees of Leo and it's sitting opposite of Saturn and squaring with Uranus in Taurus, the last square of the cycle. Crisis in consciousness, and that's a warning square.
Wow.
Okay. So whatever's going on in the world with Saturn, Uranus, Vietnam is part of it. That's according to the stars. Okay. That's according to the stars. So moving forward a little further, later in December of 2021 through January of 2022, there's transitioning between Saturn and Aquarius, and it'll be opposing the natal Pluto. Now, there's going to be a little bit of some, because again, the power struggle always starts, doesn't matter if it's in your family, and I'll take this as an example, okay? For instance, you have the bread earner of the family and you have somebody else who makes money, okay? Sometimes in family dynamics, and I'm not saying it always happens, but sometimes the person who makes the most money, you know, tries to rule the family. I'm just saying that's kind of how it is in reality, okay? And the other person might be, you know, just as adequate financially and helping, and they're like, well, shit, what? I don't get a say in anything, okay? And so this is something on a global position that, you know, Vietnam's going to be looking at.
Yeah.
You know, because again, the bread earner is going to be much different than what we recognize within the current situation there in Vietnam. And so as we move forward, February of 2022, there's a serious evaluation within the energies of how Vietnam will be looked at on a global world, okay, within that area.
Wow.
And again, how they're looked at is determined on how they're going to rebuild and restructure their country, okay? So what if, just what if, and I'll throw it out there now, but let's just say down the road when the currency gets reevaluated for Vietnam, what if they say, you know, you have 1 million dong, and then you might have 100 million dong. Heck, it's $70 here in the United States for 1 million dong, okay? What if they say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and reevaluate it just dollar for dollar. Wow. Let's just say that. Let's just say. Originally, it was $2 some cents back in the 60s before Vietnam and we went into the war. So, I mean, you know, it's not all their money that they should have, but hey, what if it's just $1? Okay, let's just say hypothetically, and you have that currency, and let's say they say to you, the currency holder, well, we're going to go ahead and reevaluate this at $1. But if you spend, let's say, half of your dong money in Vietnam, evaluate it for $2. Who knows? Who knows? I thought I had that turned off. Sorry, people. You know, but Eddie, but think about that. I mean, that could be a real economic boost for all of us, okay? And also at the same time, for anybody who has dinar. What if they say that too? What if they say, you know what, we have these 3 countries that need help, you know, we'll set up some kind of way to payment plan where you can help these countries and you know, make money still, have a legacy, you know? What if they do that too? I mean, anything's possible because this has never been done in the history of mankind.
Exactly.
So think about that, just throwing that out there, okay?
I've actually got a lot of Vietnamese dong, a lot. Just because of traveling there so much, you know. I don't know where it is, but I know it's somewhere.
Well, I really think the dongs out of everybody out there is the best sleeper, personally. Okay. I mean, you know, because again, let's just get real here. You know, I mean, I don't believe, and you know, Spirit could prove me wrong. This might be my own personal opinion. Okay. And those might be a little eagle there. I don't know. I'm saying I hope not, you know, but you know, I just don't see South Africa and the currencies the way they were written up, you know, trillions and millions. And, you know, I mean, the numbers on them are crazy. That if you spent, you know, whatever you spent to get them, you're actually going to make that much money. I just don't see that happening. You know, I see you making a percentage off of it, but I don't see the.
I honestly don't believe it's going to be 1 for 1. Genuinely, I don't believe that in the slightest. I never have done. I'll be honest with you. Even where the dong is concerned, I don't believe it's going to be 1 for 1. It just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know what it will be, and I don't have an answer, but I just don't feel it's going to be like that. I think actually you're right, and when you say a percentage, that's what I feel it's going to be.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I'm saying. And I use the 1 for 1 as an example because it's just easier, you know, multiply, so to speak. Okay. And so as we move into March 14th through the 17th of 2022, okay, there's a transitioning Jupiter and Neptune with Pisces, a square natal with Uranus and Gemini. There's a transitioning Sun with Pisces, a square natal with Mars and Gemini. There's a lot of mutable energy, okay? And I think what's going to be taking place during that time is I think they're going to be talking about where the dong comes back in at dollar value. Because there's going to be a lot of fighting and clashing, and it feels more national and international energies within that. Okay. So if that's the case, and they start talking about the reevaluation of the dong, and they're trying to determine what the dollars or cents or however it's going to come back out, I think that's when it's going to take time, where it's going to take place as we see things. Okay. It won't be established yet, but I think that's where the initial day comes where people sit down and they say, okay, you know, this is how we're going to have to work Vietnam. Yeah. And even though they might have a plan now, okay, I think they're going to have to reevaluate that plan at that time. Okay. That's what I feel. Yeah. Okay. Now we move forward into August of 2022. There's a lot of interactivity within Vietnam, and it's it's an international activity as well as an internal activity within Vietnam. And so that would make sense March, April, May, June, July, 4 or 5 months later after they come to this conclusion, okay, where other countries will come to Vietnam and they'll be looking at it from the standpoint of how we can help Vietnam transition, move into a area of unconsciousness. Okay. Remember what I said. Okay. We have our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. To be neutral, where would you be? Unconscious. You'd be in the middle. Yeah. There's a balance within their mind thought, within everything. So in other words, I think Vietnam's going to be like, you know, we're not here to make the big dollars. We're not here to get robbed either. We need to be on an equal balance on the world market.
Nice. I like that. That feels right for them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, that's you know how I'm interpreting what I'm finding out within the stars and with the others that we communicate with. You know, that we sit down and we hash this stuff out, and it's at the same time being part of the global platform is going to be huge, because what if, and I'll throw this back out, as it comes into April of 2024, okay. There's going to be a lot of change within Vietnam as well. When I say change, I think coastal areas will be changed.
Okay.
What could that be? I don't think it's going to be a tsunami. It could be a tsunami of money on the coastal areas of change, because I mean, from what I understand, Vietnam's got like one of the most beautiful coastal lines there are in the world.
It's stunning. It's so beautiful, and they've got the most incredible caves. I just can't say to you, Vietnam is stunning. It's like Thailand before Thailand got touristy, but there is just a different level of beauty about it. It's stunning. Honestly, it's one of my favorite places in the world.
Good. Well, at least we know we got somebody who can show us around.
Yeah. I'll go back tomorrow. Literally, I'll go back tomorrow. And it's, you know, up north you've got the beautiful mountains and it's a bit cooler, and then the further south, it's just stunning.
Well, you know, because I'm a crystal guy and stones are our medicine in our tribe, you know. I mean, Vietnam's got some of the most beautiful aquamarines and rubies, and yes. I mean, they have some gemstones that are just out, you know, definitely just high quality around the world. So
well, I mean, when I get allowed to travel again, I'll go and grab a load and get them for you.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to love on them. You know? Okay, so as we look at that, and again, it's going to be a lot of things that are going to be fast moving, and there's going to be some, you know, ignition. In other words, you know, it's not going to be just a slow train, because again, if Vietnam is towards the end when everybody gets their monies, okay, things are going to have to move at that time frame, you know, and it's going to take a little while to get things in place. And so as things are getting in place, there's that battling, that not recognizing the reason for changes of the past have to be recognized to move forward in the future, okay? Now, at the same time, look at it from, look at the wealth of Vietnam, okay, from this standpoint presently. When you look at the wealth of Vietnam, you look at the land, you look at the culture, you look at the people, okay? But Vietnam is a wealthy country underneath the ground. Okay, look at it from an Easter Island standpoint as a metaphor. Okay, for centuries, people looked at Easter Island and all they saw was the top of the heads of these statues, right? Yeah. Then somebody decided, hey, you know, I'm going to get a shovel, I'm going to dig down and see how far this is, you know, if it's just a head. Well, as we all know, there's complete bodies under there, you know, underneath some of those. So Vietnam is like showing their face, but they're not showing their full body. Yeah. And once they have that ability to open up that rest of that energy, Vietnam will be a stable country on a world platform. Absolutely. Especially no matter where they come out within the currencies, because again, they can do whatever they need to do. And now the question is, okay, and this is for all you environmentalists out there, okay? Just saying, all right, because we got to touch base on this, because I know people like, you know, God, it's a beautiful country, you know, we don't want to see a bunch of wells dug and drilling and mining and, you know, all this kind of stuff, okay? So just look at it from a standpoint of where you live. Okay. In our American Indian tradition, Pueblo, we don't believe that the world or earth, whether it be round or flat, okay, can be harmed in any way, shape, or form. We don't believe that. Okay. The reason why is because spirit controls our planet. And as long as we're doing what is right within our planet, within our cosmic evolution, to help and maintain the other universes and galaxies beyond ours, spirit's got our back. Spirit's not going to let anything happen to our world. Okay. Climate change and all this other bullshit that they're saying is just a bunch of bullshit. Okay. And I'm an American Indian descendant. Okay. So, hey, I love Mother Earth. Okay. I love our nature. Don't get me wrong.
Me too. Me too. But I also heavily agree with you. And I know this is probably going to piss off a few people that follow me, but I do not see climate change as what they project it to be.
Correct. Well, think of it from this standpoint. Those of you who are, let's say, half a century and older, okay?
I'm not quite there.
I know you're not.
Yet.
But let's look at it from this standpoint. If you're half a century or older, they've been saying this world that we live on through climate change would be destroyed since that time.
Yes.
And within probably a decade after freaking decade. And you know what? It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still here, And the funny thing is, the people who are promoting it, where are they buying their properties at? In fact, they're buying them right there on the ocean. Huh? Think about that. I mean, think about these people who are proclaiming this. They're flying around in Learjets, instead of the boat.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and again, look at their wallets, follow the money, I mean, I remember, and I know this, from the bottom of my heart, I know our country prior to windmills. Okay. Most people can't say that.
Yeah.
Okay. We had beautiful horizons. We had things that were just amazing. And now it's all freaking screwed up because of these windmills. The majority of raptors, the birds of prey, the most spiritual birds in our belief are killed by these windmills, and people are just like going, well, it's, we got to do it for climate change. We got to do it for, you know what?
But we're killing the nature. We're killing the nature.
You can take your climate change and stick it up there in the windmill and tear it down itself. And the worst thing about these windmills are, there's not a freaking landfill that'll take them. They have to ship windmills that are broken to Wyoming. Think of that. Yeah. You can't just take a windmill that's broke down in any state and just bury it in your landfill. They don't do that shit. They ship it to Wyoming, just so you know. And I don't know why Wyoming's taking them. If I was Wyoming, I'd tell them, take your windmill and put it where they, that's how I feel. Okay.
Wow.
So
PT, just before we go on, because I know that you are so connected to the birds, particularly, I've had a kestrel that every time I run for the last week, no word of a lie, and I know it's the same bird, don't ask me how I know, I just know, is flying about 10 to 15 foot above me, and it's with me for about 10-15 minutes every morning for the last week.
Kestrels are beautiful. They're a I don't know if you could hear that, but that's kind of a sound of a kestrel. Okay. It's not as deep as a hawk, but it's very similar to that. And your kestrels are communicators of spirit, just so you know. They're a bridger. They bridge areas of divine intervention. And so there's a lot of, spiritual stuff, and I'll send you more stuff. Okay. I do have a book on birds, just so you know out there.
It's really interesting because it's just been extremely present. And in fact, it hasn't been a week. It was the day that my uncle passed, which was Wednesday. And it started happening. And I was like, this bird's got a message for me. Like, this bird has a message for me. I don't know what it is, but this bird's got a message for me, because I'm extremely connected, like yourself, very connected to nature. And I was like, oh, I know, I'm going to mention it to BT, because BT, I've been given lots of feathers. Since you told me to get some feathers, I've been given so many. And I'm like, they just appear.
No. And that's the beautiful part. And see, and that's the thing, when you look at the environmentalists, they have good intentions, but they're laughing stocks.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but that's my personal opinion, you know. And I've always said, as long as I got two opinions and they're both mine, I'm good.
Aren't we all, love? Aren't we all?
So anyhow, back to the area of August. Okay.
Oh, so we're in August 2024 now, are we?
Yeah, we're moving in. Okay. And so in August, there's going to be some transitioning in August of 2024, and it's going to be a revolutionary energy. Okay, so again, Vietnam's going to be revolving into a new energy.
Nice.
Doesn't necessarily mean they're up in arms. It just means that they are moving out of the old mentality into a new mentality. Now, in July and August of 2025, the money, okay, I really believe will be pretty close to that time within the revow.
Wow.
For everybody, okay. And again, this is, it's not in stone, and if it doesn't happen exactly like that, don't BT was full of shit or this or that.
Do you know
I'm
what
just
I like?
you.
Yeah. Do you know what I like though, BT, is there's so many people talking about the revaluation happening like now. It's going to happen now, and I'm like, I don't feel that. Yeah. I don't feel the process is happening now, but it's not going to be, paid out now. It's going to be over the course of the next few years, depending on where you are, what currencies you've got, etc. And I love the fact that that really aligns to it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And again, I'm just letting people know because I hear it all, and I just kind of try to tell people, be calm.
Well, we've got very impatient in this last year and a half, haven't we? We're tired. If it's not being attacked by physical people, like trying to take our rights away, it's us trying to keep our spirits up as we're going through the ascension process. Like, it's draining for people, isn't it? So I get why they're getting impatient, and also these revaluations could literally sort the whole world out.
Yeah. And the beautiful part about taking care of the world is again the sovereignty of the individual on a spiritual level. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Money's not a bad thing. Money's a good thing, because without money, sometimes you can't do things to help people in a better position, to move them forward, to educate them. There's an old story, and some of you have heard it, I'm sure, and maybe not. Maybe I was just too freaking old. I don't know, but it's better to give somebody a hand up than a hand out.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny, I've been talking about this quite a lot recently. I've been talking from a government perspective and how they give money to people. I don't agree with it. I feel that what we need to be doing is helping people get themselves out of the rut that they found themselves in, or whatever that may look like, and I'm speaking very generalized there, but I don't feel, here, I'm going to give you this amount of money for the rest of your life works. It's, how about I give you this and I will help you grow so that then you can grow yourself. That to me is the gold. But that's governments wouldn't get the votes if they did that, because there's no way of manipulating people, right?
Well, at the same time, see, and this is where we have to take into consideration that the governments that we know won't be in this energy as we move forward. Okay. I'm just saying, so I hear you, Hud. I love you, and I understand exactly. But those type of governments are going to be gone.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be an easy, because all of us know it hasn't been easy. Okay, those of us who have been here since the beginning of time and fighting this situation. Okay, and so within that July of August of 2025, the warrior with the bucket on his head is stumbling and fumbling around. Now, does that mean that when Vietnam gets the reval, that they are not in a position to understand how to use money? to grow their country, who to bring into their country, who to say yes to, who to say no to, or even the possibility of, let's say, breaking down the country into different provinces, regions. How's it going to change? All this type of stuff has to come into play, because again, growth within a country is always brought forth with financial stability.
Yeah.
Like it or not, it's just the reality of life. Look at your cities, look at your towns.
Yeah.
Okay. Think of it from this standpoint, since we're talking about things of that nature.
Yeah.
We have the Vatican City, London City, and Washington, D.C. City. Those are the three central bank, corrupt, satanic, worshiping, whatever you want to call it, pedophilia, child kidnappers, everything you can think of, people that have been controlled within those three cities. They're separate from the regular nation that they are residing in. Okay. So it doesn't, bother me to say that those three areas, the majority of people that know the truth about those three areas who live there have a very interesting role in this whole transition.
Yeah.
Okay. Because again, to live in an area of shadow energy that is stronger and more in your face than the light energy is a difficult place to be. Okay. So within Vietnam, as they're stumbling and fumbling around figuring out how to grow their nation, we have to be on a global area, because again, China's just out there building islands outside of there. Okay. We need to be able to protect Vietnam while they're stumbling and fumbling. Okay. So there also could be some military presence, I'm just saying, during this time frame, because again, anything is possible within that deep state, area of control. Okay. So we have to be very careful. And I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
As we move forward, April of 2029.
Wow.
Okay. And I say this because April of 2029 is like a...
I'm going to be 50.
You'll be 50? Is that what you said?
I'll be 50.
Girl. We'll be throwing that party with you. Carl, I'll be right there. And so anyhow, 2029, okay? All the energy must be funneled out into the world.
Wow.
Think about that. Vietnam, all the energy must be funneled out into the world. Okay. What does that mean? What does that transition into? Okay. It could be the financial. It could be the spiritual. It could be the ending of the reset. All the energy must be funneled out into the world.
Beautiful.
Okay. Now, there's going to be some major shifts in Vietnam, cohesive. They're going to be an aligned nation. They're going to be concentrated energy on the world within the manifestation energy. So think of that.
Nice.
If it's at the end of 29, where all this stuff finally hits on a global, where they're able to really take control, then the apex from 2020 has now winded down. And it's taken 9 years. Okay, 9 years. Wow. Significant spiritual number, 9. Okay. Now, July 4th of 2032, Vietnam will be in peace with others.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
So overall, Vietnam's going to understand their boundaries. They're going to understand their political and social breakthroughs. They're going to understand, the feminine energies that are created. Okay. How to utilize those feminine energies for values, for relating to others, for, you know, truly being what we mentioned in the beginning, love. So that's Vietnam, folks. I hope you love it.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh, I loved it so much. I mean, please, like, don't get me wrong. My ego's like 2029 is ages away. Chirp, 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 chirp. But at the same time, we're in May 2021 and we blink and it was March 2020 and we were all being locked down and it was literally just a second ago. So time is speeding up so rapidly right now, right? Like the time as we know it, the linear time as we know it is speeding up so significantly. So it's going to be here before we know it, isn't it? And how exciting to know peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, think of it from a standpoint on a global time frame, okay? And I haven't looked into this yet, okay? I haven't looked into it yet. I'm still getting downloads, and once I get into this, I'll be able to look into it much further. But I've always had the question of when will the 1,000 years of peace begin? Thank you, Spirit. You know, Spirit talks to me all the time in many ways, okay, people? So anyhow, okay, 2029, will that be the time frame? Will that be where on a worldwide level that, you know, we finally hash out all of our differences? We look at each other as, you know, spiritual beings on this planet, all looking to do the same thing, you know, evolve. That's the only thing that we're looking to do, is evolve to become better people.
And, you know? And that's all that this is, all of this has been about. It's about us evolving. It's about us saying goodbye to the darkness and welcoming in the light even more. So, oh, BT, I've loved this so much. Now, the question on everyone's lips, when you take coming?
Oh, I know. Well, I think next week you and I we're going to do your other talk. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
And then hopefully by that time, our Oracle will have her stuff done. And then we can sit down, Carla and I and her, and do our hashing out. And then I go do my meditation and do my writings and kind of, you know, just see what it guides us to. And again, you know, it's just what I feel as I'm guided. Okay. And again, Spirit for the most part has always guided me on a very unique path. And I mean, for the majority of stuff that I work with, it seems to come through within those time frames pretty close. Yeah. Okay? I mean, again, everything is speeding up. Okay. And so, you know, the time frames, you know, if I'm a month off, you know, or a week off, you know, it's the stars, you know, because the stars are moving faster than I am. I'll tell you, we're just getting the information. Okay.
We're not holding you to specifics. I just think it's a wonderful insight that you've given us. Really, really beautiful. Honestly, between the three of you, you're so precious, and I am so grateful to you. I'm actually going to link back to the previous oracle, the cosmic oracles that we've done. I'm just going to pop them through here so people can easily find them. Do go back and watch, because these series are really, really powerful. And we're going to end on the UK when the UK is ready, which is just so exciting.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see that happen, because again, like I mentioned in the beginning, okay, the US and the UK, we're the openers and the UK is the closers. Okay. And when you think about it, you know, the UK has normally been the opener and the US has been the There's Spirit again telling us, okay. So we're definitely on the right path. And I think, you know, within Iraq and Vietnam, they're going to be pretty much the openers and closers as well. And so it's a beautiful situation that we're in. And I look forward to, you know, working and sharing. And thanks again for all you people out there who are, you know, listening and sharing. And and you know, giving us a good thumbs up here for Lucy.
And
I think some of our trolls have gone away. I haven't seen too many thumbs downs lately.
No, and the other thing that I've not seen so much, so over the last few weeks, I've seen a lot of like naked pictures or porn being posted on my videos, but I've got two admins that are so amazing. Veronica and Keith, you are amazing, guys. Thank you for the work that you do. Literally, they're on it. By the time I get to see it, it's gone. So, you know, I don't know why they would choose these kind of videos to put porn on, but you know what? It is what it is. We're not giving them the energy. They just get deleted and blocked, and then that's the end of it. So,
and see, and that's something that the shadow energy utilizes, okay? Because again, most people, you know, who aren't into that kind of stuff, you know, kind of look at it disgusting, okay? So if you're of the light and they're checking out the light source energies and they see this negative stuff, they're like, oh my God, I can't see this person. What the hell's going on? And instead of communicating with you or I, they just assume that, hey, you know, this is what we're going to do. Exactly. Because again, they have no clue because of these trolls and these negative people and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I've had newspapers say I went to prison. I've never been in prison. I've had newspapers say I was this and that. You know, I mean, it's just the way it is because, again, when you speak your truth against the dark is going to come at you at a higher rate than anything else. Okay. And the thing that we have to recognize is that the spiritual people around us normally aren't there with us during this times. Very few are. That's where you really know who you have, you know, in your corner, one would say. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just know that, you know, I've had propagandists talk shit about me since the beginning of time, since I came out and started all this stuff.
I brought the QAnon movement to the UK. That's what was in the papers over here, is that I was one of the two ladies that brought the QAnon movement to the UK. So, you know,
there you go.
I didn't realise I did, but I'll take that. Thank you.
Statement. I tell you what, I pat myself on the back.
I know, right? I've just red pilled the whole of the UK. Yeah. Woohoo!
There we go. But you know, it's important for the followers, you know, to recognize, you know, if you know and you're in alignment with spirit, you know what we're saying and what we're doing is right. And you know that those individuals who are mocking us and talking crap and doing all these negative things, let them be shown, you know, linking porn videos to your stuff or this or that, you know, just realize, you know, that those individuals have a role to play. And even though it ain't the best role,
yeah,
it's them actually letting us know we're on the right path.
Absolutely.
Because they're attacking us.
Exactly.
Now, if we weren't on the right path, they wouldn't give a rat's ass. They let us just do whatever. But once they come out and start attacking and putting thumbs down and writing nasty comments and this and that, gives me more of a feeling of security on a spiritual level than you can get at Fort Knox. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. And on that note, thank you all so much. BT, thanks as always. It is amazing. It was so beautiful to chat to you today. And like I say, I'm going to link the videos back here. Do not forget to hit the like button, the thumbs up button, share and subscribe with as many people as you know. Guys, we will see you in the next video. Lots of love. Take care.